Hey neighbor, welcome to No Longer Heard, the channel all about extinct animals. Tired of getting work done? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I'll help you procrastinate. Let's talk about the thylacine. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger, was one of the strangest animals we've ever driven to extinction. It wasn't a tiger, it wasn't a wolf, and despite what you might think from its appearance, it wasn't a dog either. It was a marsupial, a cousin to kangaroos and koalas. You know, the pouch crew. In fact, both male and female thylacines had pouches. The male's pouch acted like a protective flap for its bits, kind of like built-in armor. Nature is wild. They were native to Australia, New Guinea, and later Tasmania. For thousands of years, they were the top predator in their ecosystems, but by the time Europeans arrived, they were already confined to Tasmania, likely pushed out by competition with dingoes and changing climates. Now let's talk about their look. Imagine a lean dog-sized animal, tan-colored, with distinct black stripes across its back and tail, hence the tiger nickname. It had a long snout, pointy ears, and this bizarre stiff tail, kind of like a kangaroo's. In fact, early observers couldn't quite decide what it reminded them of. Some said wolf, others said hyena, others said demon dog. Its jaw could open 80 degrees wide. That's basically a hinge you expect on a snake, not a mammal. It was like its mouth was permanently prepared to inhale prey or express a thing nightmares are made of. Impressive either way. Kind of like me at the buffet. Thylacines were mostly nocturnal. They hunted at night, probably using stealth more than speed. Their diet likely included small mammals, birds, and maybe the occasional reptile. Some even theorized that they hunted in pairs or groups. But no one's really sure because, of course, we drove them extinct before we could learn the details. When European settlers brought livestock to Tasmania, thylacines got a bad rap. They were blamed for killing sheep and poultry. Some of it was probably true, but a lot of it was exaggerated. Still, the fear was enough. The government offered bounties, literally, bring us a dead thylacine and get paid. Thousands were killed. Combined with habitat loss, disease, possibly from dogs, and their naturally slow reproduction rate, thylacines didn't stand a chance. By the early 1900s, sightings were rare. The last confirmed wild thylacine was killed in 1930 by a farmer. His name was Whiff Batty. Not a villain, just a guy who didn't know he was about to end a species. Poor guy. The last known thylacine died in captivity in 1936 at the Hobart Zoo. And here's the kicker. It wasn't protected by law until after it died. On a cold night, someone forgot to let it inside and it froze to death. That's the ending. Not a heroic stand, not a noble death in the wild, just forgotten in a cage. There is something especially haunting about that. But people didn't give up. For decades, sightings have continued, especially in the wilds of Tasmania. Blurry photographs, shaky camcorder footage, eyewitness accounts. Most scientists say it's wishful thinking, but the belief persists. It's like a ghost story. Everybody secretly wants it to be true. Then there's the cloning angle. Scientists have preserved some thylacine DNA. There's even been serious talks and serious funding put into resurrecting the species using CRISPR. Alright, to be honest, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And related tech, like Jurassic Park, but more plausible. Think the dire wolf. Even if we bring them back, would they be the same? Where would they live? Would they remember how to be wild, or would it just be a museum animal walking through a forest it doesn't recognize? It raises a lot of questions about extinction, about guilt, about what saving a species even means if it no longer fits into the world it'll have behind. Alright, so let's shift gears a little bit. Thylacines weren't silent. Reports from early settlers and zoo staff said they made a range of noises, cough-like barks, whines, even a low growl. But we never recorded them. We don't know exactly what they sounded like. That sound is lost. Their movement was weird too. They had an awkward gait, almost stiff, but some accounts say they could hop like kangaroos when startled. Not efficiently, but enough to throw you off if you were chasing one. They left behind tracks, kind of like a dog, but with minor differences, enough that trackers could tell them apart. Back when there were thylacines to track, of course. Indigenous Australians knew them well. Rock art depicting thylacines can be found across the continent, and oral traditions describe their behavior and role in nature. They were part of the landscape, not a mystery, but a neighbor. Their closest living relatives, Tasmanian devils and numbats. Much smaller, much less dramatic looking, but still marsupials doing their thing. You can still see thylacines today, well, sort of. Museums around the world have taxidermied specimens, skulls, and even preserved pups floating in jars. They're sad but fascinating. The thylacine has become a symbol not just of extinction, but of avoidable extinction. The kind where we knew better or could have. The kind where it wasn't a volcano or an asteroid, it was bureaucracy, fear, and neglect. Its story is in books, documentaries, tattoos, indie films, conservation campaigns. It's everywhere, except where it used to be, alive. So, if you spent the last few minutes putting off homework, skipping dishes, or dodging your inbox, congratulations. You know more about the thylacine than most people ever will. You know, it had a pouch, a jaw-like trap, a misunderstood reputation, and tragically human ending. Maybe next time when someone mentions extinct animals, you'll remember this one. Not because it was the biggest or the scariest, but because it was weird, real, and totally unfairly gone. And now, your break is over. Or not, I'm not judging. So, if you liked the video, please make sure to subscribe and like the video. If there's any animals you'd like me to do next, please leave a comment. Until next time, stay curious, stay listening. It was bureaucracy. It was bureaucracy.